Hello friends. In the previous video, we discussed input and output in Python. Now, we are going to discuss typecasting in Python. Have you ever entered a number in Python, but Python treated it like text instead of a number? For example, if you enter 10 and 20, Python might give you 1020 instead of 30. Sounds strange, right? The reason is that Python stores input as a string by default. To solve this problem, we use typecasting. In this video, you'll learn what typecasting is, why it is important, and how to convert data from one data type to another in Python. First, let's look at the roadmap for this video. Here's what we'll cover. What is typecasting? Why do we need typecasting? Types of typecasting in Python. Practical examples of typecasting. By the end of this video, you'll be able to convert data types confidently in your Python programs. First, we have to know about what is typecasting. Typecasting means converting one data type into another data type. Think of it like changing a liquid from one container to another. The liquid remains the same, but the container changes. Similarly, a string can become an integer, and an integer can become a float, and a float can become a string. Typecasting is like a translator between different data types. Example: 100 is string, it's converted into an integer simply. This is called as typecasting. Why do we need typecasting? Python does not automatically understand your intentions. When a user enters data using the input function, Python stores the input as a string by default. Let's take an example. Create a variable called num1 and take input from the user with the message. Enter first number. Create another variable called num2 and take input from the user with the message. Enter second number. Then print the result of num1 plus num2. Now let's see a real-time example. Run the code and enter. First number, 10. Second number, 20. You might expect the output to be 30, but the actual output is 1020. Why does this happen? Because Python treats both inputs as strings. Instead of adding the numbers, Python joins the two strings together. This process is called string concatenation. To perform mathematical addition, we need to convert the input values into integers using typecasting. On the left side, we are using the normal input function, which always takes user input as a string. Python cannot perform mathematical operations on strings until they are converted into numbers. On the right side, we are using the int function along with input, which converts the user input into an integer. As a result, Python can perform mathematical operations on the values. Now, let's convert the strings into integers. This is the same code we used earlier. The only change is that we add int in front of the input function. Now, run the code. Enter the first number as 10. Enter the second number as 20. This time, the output is 30. Because the inputs are converted into integers, Python performs addition instead of joining the values as strings. Types of typecasting. There are two main types of typecasting. The first one is implicit typecasting. Python automatically converts one data type into another when there is no risk of losing information. This is called implicit typecasting. Let's take an example. A equals 10. B equals 2.5. Result equals A plus B. Print result. Now, let's see a real-time example. Look at the code and run it. The output is 12.5. Python automatically converts 10 into 10.0. Let's understand the workflow of this program. We are adding an integer value and a float value. The integer value is 10, and the float value is 2.5. Python automatically converts 10 into 10.0. In other words, Python first converts the integer value into a float and then adds 2.5 to it. 10.0 plus 2.5 is equal to 12.5. The final output is 12.5. This automatic conversion of one data type into another is called implicit typecasting. The second type is explicit typecasting. In explicit typecasting, the programmer manually converts one data type into another. Let's take an example. Create a variable called num and assign it the value 100. Now create another variable called converted_num and convert num into an integer using the int function. Then print converted num. Let's see a real-time example. Copy the code and run it. The output is 100. At first glance, it looks like a number, but let's check its data type. Use the type function and print it again. Now the output is class int. The workflow is. This confirms that the string 100 has been successfully converted into an integer. Since the programmer manually performed the conversion using the int function, this is called explicit typecasting. Common typecasting functions. The first one converts a string into an integer. Let's take a real-time example. Create a variable. X equals 100. N equals int x. Print n. Run the code. The output is 100. The second one converts a string into a floating point number. Use the same example, but replace int with float. Now run the code. The output is 100.0. The third one converts data into a string. Create a variable. X equals 100. N equals strx. Print n. Run the code. The output is 100. The fourth one converts data into a Boolean value. Print bool 1. Print bool 0. Run the code. The output is true, false. Here, 1 is converted to true, and 0 is converted to false. Typecasting means converting one data type into another. It helps Python perform operations correctly and makes data compatible with different tasks. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and share this video. If you have any doubts, leave them in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe for more updates.